Hey everybody, it is Kit here. Happy Tuesday and welcome back to the Sims 4 Clover Legacy story. Um, we are back with Haven and Celeste. Hmm. Yeah, just look at this picture. Just look at it for a minute. What could go wrong? Pray for Haven. Anyways, I hope you guys are having a good day and let's get into it. Days turned into weeks. Their first quarter of a year was coming up. Snow was coming soon. Haven would need to build a better shelter for them than a tent. As Celeste got better with walking and potty training and kind of talking, Haven practiced her magic just in case. She hoped to not need it. One day, Celeste was in a more talkative mood than usual. Haven was cautiously optimistic. Maybe the little girl was going to go easier on her now. Puis be cows. Thank you, Sal. Maybe when you are bigger I can teach you how to do this. Aber puis cows. Haven felt hope. Unfortunately for Haven, she and Celeste needed to go to town. Groceries were needed and goods needed to be sold for cash. Haven would make it quick. She was constantly tracking Celeste magically. She might as well pick up some favors, too. Ow, boopy! Up, up! Haven felt her heartbeat quicken. Wolf people? Werewolves. Here? Haven had never seen one in real life. She'd only read about them. But they weren't raging and seemed to be all right with children. Haven would just need to make this quick, but favors meant money after all, and that was money they desperately needed. Celeste was not as distracted with the wolf people as Haven might have liked, wandering off like she thought she could. Celeste ran away to a nearby water space, which Haven had promised Celeste could play in after Haven was done with her errands and could supervise. Oops. Haven knew where the girl was the entire time, though. Haven also knew that Celeste wasn't going to listen. Celeste was stubborn, which wasn't a bad thing normally, but it worked against Haven in this situation. Hey, Cell, didn't I ask you to wait on me? Oi, baby? You silly girl. And what's with the baby gibberish, huh? You were speaking words when we first got here. Was Celeste doing this? The acting out, the gibberish words? Was she doing that to spite Haven, or was she regressing? Did Celeste need to see a doctor? A therapist? Probably. But for now, Haven was all Celeste had. One evening, with Celeste tucked in for bed, Haven took a little walk. There was a werewolf out and about, which made her uneasy. Haven knew of them, but had never met one before, until the other day. A spellcaster, huh? What are you doing out here with a baby? Surviving. Haven found herself wondering at night more and more as Celeste slept, finally settling into this new life, just for a bit. The fresh air and exercise helped with the exorbitant amount of stress and the constant headache, and she could talk to the critters, like this fox. In fact, the fox had something to say to her this time. Winter is coming, lady. Better get warm. Snow. Oh boy. With the fox's winter warning constantly at the forefront of her mind, Haven started the grind for money. She spent what pennies she had scraped together to purchase a grill, baking cheap hot dogs that were at least warm and made little Celeste happy. Haven also purchased a yard sale table to sell larger collectibles in town. Rocks, fossils, crystals, figurines, anything people would purchase that the grocer and garden shop did not. Selling in town was difficult because Haven had to constantly keep Celeste close, but selling at their little tent camp was not an option. Fortunately or unfortunately for Haven, people were beginning to recognize her, and some even wanted to get to know her, like this young man. Haven did her best to keep everything friendly but somewhat professional, aloof but polite. Haven also did favors as a way to get even more money. The cold was certainly upon them, and with the winter weather changing, so did Celeste's attitude. Celeste became meaner and more rebellious, hating Haven even more. Haven did her best to always keep Celeste warm, safe, fed, all of her needs up in the green. The grind paid off, and soon Celeste had a proper toddler bed surrounded by walls and even under a roof. Haven even got a book to read to the little girl. But still, Celeste cried at night, and Haven was powerless to stop it. Haven didn't stop trying to make their lives better, though. Clean clothes were a must, especially with potty training. But man, oh man, did Haven miss the magical processes in the magic realm. She'd never had to do laundry like this in the orphanage. The dirty clothes would just disappear and clean ones would come back. It was nice. A rare smile from Celeste every now and then did much to bolster Haven's downtrodden morale. Haven had to keep going. For this little one. Celeste Clover wasn't a bad child, no. She was just stuck in a horrible situation and likely had no family left. Haven didn't blame Celeste for how difficult she had been, but it certainly didn't help the raging headache that only seemed to worsen as time went on. Late nights when Celeste couldn't sleep, Haven would fish and Celeste would splash in the water until the cold drove them away. Soon the waters would be frozen and not suitable for fishing. Haven needed to take advantage while she still could. Haven also got a bite to make travel faster, especially in the Bramblewood when she would do favors for the elusive animal keeper. But unfortunately, another setback presented itself. Was it the lightning or Celeste's temper that had started this fire? Celeste's magic was supposedly bloodbound, but that didn't mean it was 100% gone, right? Or it was the storm. Surely it was the storm, right? Haven ended up having to use mundane means to get rid of the fire because when she tried to tap into her magic, Haven found she couldn't. The headache was in the way. Thankfully, Haven had a fire extinguisher, but she was far too stressed to use magic? That was a massive problem. Haven's headache came and went throughout the day, despite all measures she had taken to try and prevent it, but Haven just thought it was stress. But now, if it was messing with her innate abilities, would Haven overload next time she tried to do a spell? Haven couldn't protect Celeste or herself if need be. She needed to figure this out, especially since Haven had this paranoid feeling that someone was watching her. Both her and Celeste. Despite the setbacks and paranoia, the little campsite was beginning to turn into a little home of sorts. A very bad home, but still. At least Haven now had a bed too, right? Celeste was getting a little bit older and more skilled by the day. She was looking at picture books now. Haven wished she had a way to document this progress for Celeste's future guardian. Haven hoped the sages would find the poor little girl a forever happy home soon. And speaking of the sages, there had been no communication. There was not a single hide nor hair of another spellcaster here. In fact, the only magical sort of folks Haven had seen were the werewolves. Haven knew they had to be very busy, they being the sages, but still, it would be nice to have some sort of check-in by now. Maybe the sages were the eyes Haven felt were watching her and Celeste. Yes, that had to be it, right? Of course they would be watching. It's only logical. Haven had planted a few harvestables and made a little bunny friend who tended to the garden. It was nice to have a little friend, and that little friend also told Haven about the comings and goings of the natural world. Both. Haven named him Brownfoot. Haven also made a hefty investment, but she got a chicken coop. This way, Haven always had eggs coming in, and that meant more fresh food and also something to sell to the grocer in town. There was also another fire. This time it was of Haven's own making. The sink broke, so Haven tried to use Repario. Only the spell backfired. This made her even more concerned. Haven's stress level must be disastrously high, or maybe she was losing her magic, because while Haven may not be as skilled as Evie was, Haven at the very least knew Repario. And there went Celeste acting up again. She was screaming more and more nowadays, but Celeste still refused to use intelligible words, no matter how much Haven worked with her on pronunciation. Celeste didn't really seem to like the new chicks, but Haven would catch her picking them up and giving them hugs when Haven wasn't around. So, Haven was the problem, clearly. Again. Another trip to town, but this time it was to turn in favors. Agnes Crumplebottom was an unscrupulous woman who always seemed to be angry, but Agnes reminded Haven of the orphanage headmistress. And, seeing Agnes's shocked but pleased smile at the favor being completed, that made Haven feel like she was back in the orphanage, doing her best to do the right things and please everyone. It felt good, but it was also very weird, like she was going backwards in time. Oh, another spellcaster. Finally. Haven was somewhat relieved to know she wasn't the only one, but that also meant this place was not as safe as Haven originally thought. But maybe this Estrella Peters wasn't a bad sort of caster. The public seemed to adore her. Apparently, she was a famous actress. Haven made double sure to keep her mind shields up now. Not that they seemed to do any good, but werewolves scented other occults. Spellcasters had to do magical mind tricks to sense others' auras. And aura shields were tricky. Maybe Haven would never come across Miss Peters again, and that would probably be the best thing. But in the middle of another eye-splitting headache, there was another glimmer of hope. Celeste wanted to play. Maybe this time things were looking up and there wouldn't be a regression. Right? Haven could hope, at least. Oh dear. Another spellcaster. This one was also famous. Tracy Hugh, and she did not appear to be from around here. Haven hoped not, at least. Oh, and that hope of no regression? Yeah. Guess who no longer will tolerate using the potty chair? Haven desperately is hoping for a break at this point. At least the chicks are all grown up now, which is a good thing because this is it. Winter is here. The fall was a challenging season. Haven can only hope to find some peace in the snow. Haven had a semi-stable form of income, But with the waters frozen over and less things to harvest from the land, how will winter fare for her and Celeste? Will Haven's stress levels dissipate? Will Celeste become easier to manage? Will the paranoia ever cease? Will Haven's headache disappear? Maybe the sages would reach out. Maybe the blood feud between the Brooks and Clovers would be put to bed and Celeste could find a new home. Haven dared to hope for all of the above, but would be thrilled for even just one of them to come true. She felt like the world was stacked against her, and Haven was not strong enough to withstand the storm. But she had to try, right? For Celeste and for herself, because no one would be coming to save them if things got worse. Maybe it was a tad bit dramatic, but truly, Haven felt like something wasn't quite right about all of this, but she couldn't figure out why. And that is that. So, I don't know if y'all kind of noticed I went from like it slightly changed almost, like the script almost changed the way I was saying things. That would be because about halfway, well, really at like the 6 minute mark, I realized that my script, the post that I had on Twitter ended, but I still had some pictures left of fall. So I just decided, well, okay, I wanted to just go a little further, and I was like, you know what, now let's commit, let's get all of it done. So now we are up to date. Like I said, I haven't really worked on them a ton, but I honestly thought I'd taken some pictures of the winter season, but I didn't, which means I can play them, which is great. So, yeah. Anyways, that's kind of where Haven is at. Things are weird, quite frankly, for her. Because remember, she doesn't age, but Celeste does. So it's like time's frozen for her, but like how much longer is it going to be frozen? And then like Celeste is going to be a child, which means there's going to be like school to think about. And she can't really homeschool her. And now people in town are recognizing her because she's had to come to town because, you know, hello, supplies. And like winter's coming up and winter gets really cold in Hinford, and she needs to make money, and really there's no way to make money without engaging in society at least a little bit, and the favors are great for supplies and for money, but that means she has to talk to people, and then people recognize her, and of course she is kind of distinct looking, which not exactly her intention, but you know, hey, it's not like there's a lot of redheads, right? Especially with like wild hair. And then there's like a baby that looks like very little like her, and it is a just big problem. And then there's fires, and there's just a lot going on for her, and she is so overwhelmed and over her head. She really needs a hug, and she really needs to be able to relax, but unfortunately she can't because she's all Celeste has, and it's like, oh crap. I mean, doing a rags to riches with a toddler sucks. And then doing it in the winter, mega sucky. It sucks with just an adult. Can you imagine doing it with a toddler? Or even, dear God, an infant. Oh my God. See, and like, if the infants had been out when I had done these, when I had started this, she might have been an infant, y'all. Ooh, can you imagine that? I'd have been dying. Oh my God. Like, if for those who have seen my dumpster challenge live streams, you know just how bad this would have been. Because we've already lived through it with Chucky. I don't need to live through it with another one. Celeste is hard enough. So yeah, but anyways, I'm actually really happy that we got caught up. You guys also got to see a little bit of the other people of Dragon's Chaos because this is set in the Dragon's Chaos save file. But these pictures were from 2022. Where I'm at in the Dragon's Chaos retelling is 2020, 2021. So, yeah. I'm going to take probably a month or two off. I mean, there's nothing else I can say for the Clover Legacy, so I'll probably just be adding a few more of the Dragon's Chaos videos in until we get caught up. And then once we get caught up on that, I can kind of start playing again, which is cool. So, yeah. I'm really excited though because this was a goal of mine to get this started back up again this year and to get the Brooks kind of caught up, Dragon's Chaos caught up, like kind of get both of them going in tandem again. That was a goal for last year, but then that didn't really happen. I think Brooks was the goal for last year. But now that the Brooks were getting closer to being caught up with them, doing the same for Dragon's Chaos, I feel like I'm accomplishing something, which is awesome. I'm really excited. So, and it is interesting too because it's like when you're taking pictures and stuff. Sorry, I was just told that the Chew monster who has been bothering me this entire freaking video is now staying with us for the night, which is cool. That's fine. I'm just gonna have a dog on top of me the entire night. At least my bagels don't want to sleep literally on top of me. The Chew monster, i.e. Chewy the Yorkie, does. It is. Oh, I love him, but also please don't. And he doesn't want to sleep like. He wants to sleep like on your chest or on your shoulder or on your stomach sometimes, but he doesn't want to sleep anywhere below your waist. And I'm like, oh my god, please don't do this to me. But he does every time. You shove him away, he gets closer. Yay. Anyway, what I was saying was it's kind of cool to have something like Through the Veil going on and stuff like the Brooks Legacy and the Clover's Legacies and like the Dragon's Chaos stuff because Clover's Legacy is gameplay and story. I mean, so is the Brooks, but it's like also a little bit of a story going on, right? So, but I can play and just also take pictures of the story elements as they come up. With Through the Veil, I get a mix of gameplay, but also just recording as it goes on. But that does mean, okay, I kind of need to be somewhat entertaining, somewhat have a plan, right? When it's in a picture format like this, sometimes I don't need a plan. You know, I don't have to do that. I just don't take the pictures. Or I set it up to where there's the pictures. So, like with Dragon's Chaos, it's like, oh, this is interesting. I'll just take a picture, but I'm just playing, you know? So I like how with each of the different stories I've got going on through this medium of The Sims 4, I get to do various things via taking pictures or doing videos or doing a mix of both. And I really enjoy it. In case anybody wanted an explanation as to why the hell she's got so many different things going on. I don't know. I'm crazy. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Yay! We got something caught up. Oh my god! Which I knew this would be the easiest one to do, but I also wanted to wait till a certain point. Alas. But yeah, so thank you all so very much for watching. This will be back fairly, soon. Definitely before the end of the year. I'm really excited. So, yeah, and tomorrow we will be going with the Fractured Wanderer, by the way. Yeah. I think I did say, I don't remember what I said last week, but anyway, yeah, Fractured Wanderer tomorrow, and then we'll see about next week. We'll be back with the Brooks and most likely Fractured Wanderer. I think I'm just going to do Fractured Wanderer once a week until I get the beach vacation done, because I did take pictures. I did thoroughly enjoy myself, and y'all get to enjoy it too, hopefully. I don't know. Hey, if y'all don't like it, y'all don't have to watch. That's the fun thing, right? But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna go, so have a great rest of the day, and thank you for watching.